Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ultimate Summit. I am so excited that you're here with us today, and we are going to have an awesome time today. I'm Shirlene Reeves, and this is sponsored by Maximize Your Wealth Now TV, and I'm so excited that you're here watching us because we have kind of a unique program today. I actually get to be interviewed, and so does Cynthia Stott. And we're going to go through and meet everybody, and then Mary Knipple is going to take over for the interview. And I know she's going to do a marvelous job. So let's start with who's on our panel today. Sumaya, would you like to begin?
Sure, Shirlene. I'm Sumaya O'Grady, and I'm a soul alchemist. I love working with speakers and leaders who have a calling from deep within. They have an inspired message to share with the world. And through my programs, I guide them to connect more deeply to their soul and to get confidence that's truly unshakable.
Beautiful. Welcome to the show, Sumaya. I'm so glad you're with us today.
Thank you.
And Iris, how about you?
Oh, great to be here, Shirlene.
I'm so glad you are.
Well, I am thrilled to support those that serve from the heart, making a difference, supporting others to thrive. I'm Empress Iris, a joyologist and empowerment guide, and based on 39 years of supporting hundreds of clients to claim their power and their joy, I created a powerful system of mindset and lifestyle upgrades, deepened by connection to spirit. Tune into the superpowers of joy, opening channels to divine guidance as you elevate your joy, energize your vitality, and activate your dreams.
Thank you, Iris. That was beautiful. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And now we have Dot. Hi, Dot. Welcome.
Hey, hi, Shirlene. Well, yes, I'm Dot Claire, your modern-day medicine woman and change agent. I love working with women who are in transition. Sometimes they're stuck in the messiness of a divorce or maybe a corporate job that they really drains their energy and overwhelmed perhaps with the loss of a loved one. Well, with 25 years experience as a professional nurse, intuitive healer, and shaman and author of Authentic Alignment, I've midwifed hundreds of women through that pain, that fear and resistance of change to permanently complete their past and move on to possibilities.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dot. And let's have CJ. Hi, CJ. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Shirlene. It's great to be here.
So share with us what you're doing.
I'd love to. Do you have a story, a situation that is running your life, causing you stress, unhappiness, or maybe even resentment? What if you could change that story and it changed your life? I'm Carolyn C.J. Jones, forgiveness expert, award-winning author, speaker, coach, and the creator of the Change Your Story, Change Your Life programs. My gift is guiding people using forgiveness to change their story so that they can experience great peace, freedom, and empowerment.
Beautiful. Thank you, CJ. And now we're going to move to Mary Knipple. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Shirlene.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So
I'm Mary Knipple, the Writer Unleashed and the founder of YourWritingMentor.com. I support women to embody their message so that they can leverage their impact through writing. Using my 30 years as a journalist, I help you discover what you are passionate about and how you can connect with those who are looking to work with you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So now, Mary, I'm going to let you take over, and I'm going to introduce myself. Okay?
Absolutely. Well, Shirlene, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Mary. As always, I'm really excited to be here. And as she said, I'm Shirlene Reeves with Maximize Your Wealth Now, and I'm all about massive visibility for massive income. And I am the publisher of Wealthy Woman magazine. I am the executive producer of Maximize Your Wealth Now TV on the Empowerment Network. And I love teaching Compel Don't Sell and the Celebrity TV Guest Expert Training. My goal is so that everyone shows up beautifully and massively so that they can earn massive income.
Oh, that is beautiful, Shirlene.
Thank you.
Now, we'd like to know a little bit more about you and why you're passionate about massive visibility. Can you share your background and how you got to be doing what you're doing now?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Massive visibility is so important, and it goes back long ago when I was a child and not allowed to speak. I was to be seen and not heard. My opinions didn't really account, and I had no voice in the family. And over time, I learned that my opinions were worthwhile, and maybe somebody might like to learn something from me. And as a result, I created my online classes, and then I believe strongly that bringing my community with me so that I can uplift everyone while I'm being uplifted is the magic that has a life in business. And that's why I chose to do what I do, is because I want to express myself, I want to share what I've learned over the years, and I believe that it's important for everyone else to be able to do that too.
Oh, that's wonderful, Shirlene. Is there any tool that you have used to help you uncover how you help people?
Tool. That's an interesting question. I believe that the tool that I use is the most important thing when it comes to massive visibility. If we didn't have Google Hangout or the opportunity to have a TV show that goes out to 4 million people in 28 countries, we'd be very silent. And my frustration is much the same of many other entrepreneurs, because what I've found is it's hard to get out of our own backyard, and that was my frustration too. And when we play only in our own backyard, we don't make much money because we're just trading the same money around from one person to the next. But if we can move outside our immediate area using Google Plus or utilizing web TV, then we have a much, much bigger, massive visibility opportunity, and then we will make so much more money just because we have that exposure with others.
And one of your other tools is the magazine.
Yes, it is. Thank you for mentioning that. Wealthy Woman magazine has been an awesome tool. It's how can I say? We send it out over social networking, and it's colorful and beautiful. And I actually get to showcase all the authors that are in it. And that's what I mean about bringing others along with me so that they feel special, they feel seen and heard, and then they have a voice just like I do.
Right, giving their voices power.
Exactly.
So, what would you tell people that you don't think they know about you, that you would like them to?
In which direction, Mary? May I have clarity on that?
Something that is common knowledge to your really close friends. What about the lighthouse story?
Oh, that's one of my favorite stories. The lighthouse in San Felipe is lives very close to my heart because it's really close to my home now too, so I don't have so far to go, but I love the lighthouse and the meaning that it has for me. And when I walk into my condo in San Felipe, it's right on the beach, the condo is, and then there's these gorgeous mountains that frame the lighthouse, and sometimes they're purple, sometimes they're green, sometimes they're blue. They can be a lot of different colors because it's interesting because it's a desert feel with the ocean combined. And the lighthouse just sits there, and I know it's always going to be there. And so I connected the lighthouse to my business in talking about the base of it being a really solid foundation. The column is all about clarity and where we're going, and then we get to shine our light brightly like a lighthouse does once we have all that clarity and we have our foundation. And I love to say, do you ever see the captains of the ships running up and down the beach? You probably don't. And that is the analogy that I utilize when I talk about massive visibility for massive income.
Mm-hmm. That's just such a great image. I'm so glad that we got to hear that story from you.
Thank you for asking.
Does anybody have any questions for Shirlene?
Iris has her hand up.
Well, hi, Shirlene. I love what you said, massive visibility for massive income. And I am so happy that I chose to take your courses, and I'm in this Hangout now, and all the wonderful opportunities to have more visibility. And like you said, get out of my own backyard. So could you talk more about when we're trying to decide which opportunities to pursue, what are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves?
Wow, Iris, that's an awesome question. An awesome question. One of the things that you really want to look at is the exposure. How many people will be reached? So let's look at the magazine. There's about 1 million in exposure for the magazine. That's pretty good, right? That's more than most opportunities have. Or we could stand on a stage and have maybe 40 people in front of us. And we have to expend a lot of energy to get to that stage. Driving, perhaps. We have to bring things and offer gifts. Or we could be in the magazine and run an ad and have an article. It depends on what it is. And then there's also the TV show that now has 4 million in exposure. So when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at first the credibility of the group and what the demographic is of that group. Because I have a specific demographic that I work with. It's primarily women, 40 years and older, that are entrepreneurs. They're the ones that really need the support. And when I look at that, I look at each thing, including networking groups. Because if there aren't enough people at a networking group, there's not much point in going there. So I really think about, number one, the demographic. Number two, how many am I going to be exposed to? And then the third thing is, of course, what is the cost? Does the cost outweigh the exposure? We never know how much money that we're going to have from month to month as entrepreneurs, so we need to look at that as well and then blend the three together.
That's fabulous. Do you have a checklist?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Do you have you developed a checklist?
A checklist? Well, what I do, no. I don't need a checklist. But what I do at the end of every year is I look at everything that I'm involved in. And I look at where the most amount of money has come from, or where the most transactions have come from. And if I haven't gotten any transactions out of that group, then I don't go back to that group. I'm done. I evaluate every year. And because it's so important to not be wasting your time. When we're over 40, we don't know how much time we have. We never know how much time we have, but when we're over 40, we have to think about those kinds of things. And so if it hasn't generated any money, why would you want to keep going there and paying for lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever it is, instead of looking at those items and facets that have brought in the most for you? It's a little different with a magazine, though, because a magazine, you're only looking for exposure. You may or may not get income from a magazine, but you get a tremendous amount of exposure and a lot of credibility. If you want to go speak on a radio show or a TV show, it always looks good to have your face on the cover if you can get there. And it always is good to send out in advance so that somebody can read your article. But the TV show is different, because when you're on a TV show, you just put your commercial with it. And then one step after the next, evaluate everything you do, how far you have to drive, what it costs you to be there, and whether you've generated any income.
Thank you. That's very valuable information. Anybody else?
I love it. Very illuminating on how to make some really good choices about where to spend our time, our energy, and our financial investments. So that's great. Thanks, Shirlene.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have a question? Okay. Then we will move to Cynthia. Thank you, Shirlene.
You're welcome. Great questions.
Cynthia, are you ready to go?
I am. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Shirlene.
Oh, wonderful. So, Cynthia, tell us about what makes you tick. What do you get out of bed in the morning just ready to do?
I am passionate about passion. And I believe that anything that you're passionate about, you can either create a business if you want a whole business around that, or take that and fold it into your current business so that you can get paid well for doing what you absolutely love and are most passionate about. Because passions lie, I believe, with our heart and soul, no matter what we're passionate about.
Well, it's interesting that you say no matter what you're passionate about. How do we know? What's the criteria for this is what I'm passionate about?
It's that thing that makes your heart sing. Are you excited about it? Do you light up? Does it make you feel happy when you talk about it? That's your passion.
And I've heard someone say that you know how to help people make money in their sleep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's about kind of like cloning yourself, because, you know, we're so busy. Shirlene was just talking about that we have to decide how to spend our time, our money, our energy. Absolutely true. And so if we can automate what we do, take what's deep in our heart and our heads, because we're experts, and get that out onto paper and create a virtual program about it and share that, that is how we can get paid in our sleep. And I've actually gotten paid in my sleep, while driving, even while showering.
Is there anybody who can't make money in their sleep?
I really think anybody can. Even if you're a service provider like a chiropractor or an acupuncturist or even a lawyer. I think that you can create virtual programs that will help people to understand better how to work with you. So I've worked with healers, I've worked with feng shui experts, I've worked with even, I'm working with an IT person right now to get that information out of her head and into a program so people can really understand those things that you repeat again and again and again. And those are the things that you want to connect with the people with.
Well, there is something that you're not talking about. And Shirlene alluded to some numbers, but you worked in the Fed with a lot of numbers, but you were using crystals at the same time. So think about how those two went together.
Yes, the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. So I have degrees in statistics and economics, and I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco for over 18 years. And I did quantitative analysis, and I collected monetary aggregate information. And I also told CEOs and board of directors what to do, and they had to follow it as a bank examiner. And so I knew that whenever people are involved, emotions can be involved. And especially if I was citing a bank for violations, or even before we were finding them, I wanted to make sure that everyone, me, my team, the bankers, were in our best possible space, really a space of groundedness and openness and love, so that we could really uncover the truth. And how I would do that is I would bring my crystals and hide them in the FedEx box. And then even if I had to cite a bank for violations, they would usually end up heartfelt thanking me for the work that I did with them, helping them to understand what the issue was.
Well, there has to be a story behind why you even started using the crystals.
Well, I think it was just that I wanted it to go well. I wanted it to be a place of open-heartedness and truth. That's really important to what I do. So I could get to the bottom of things quickly and easily and hold them in a beautiful space. And I found that having the crystals around really helped. I actually have a funny story about a crystal. Would you like to hear about that?
Yes, I would. I think our listeners would too.
I had a banker, an examiner that was working with me, and the only seat left for the manager that was coming in was next to her, and she got very nervous, and she was like, oh my gosh, she was freaking out. And I said, don't worry, here is the crystal. It was actually a crystal wand that I put into an eyeglass case to kind of incognito, and I put it between her and the space that was left for the manager. And I said, it's going to be fine, and he's not going to stay long. And she looked at me like, you're crazy, Cynthia. Well, the manager came. We worked for about a half an hour. We all went to lunch together. And then he had to leave shortly thereafter. And he didn't come back for a week.
Oh, that's quite a while.
And mostly because I was really communicative with him and let him know how we were doing. And even though we found some issues, I was on top of it. And so he really had the confidence in me and the team that we were doing what we needed to do, and he didn't need to be there to supervise.
Well, that is tremendous that we all have that ability to connect with the crystals and to be open to what's going to manifest from that. And speaking of manifesting, how could a person get in touch with their passion on a daily basis, easily? Do you have any suggestions for that?
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in meditation. Now, I was not a good meditator, and I actually couldn't meditate for over 10 years. I struggled with it. But in my programs, I teach you how to connect at a very deep level, very simply and easily. And a lot of it has to do with focusing on your heart and feeling your feet. This is my secret weapon. If you feel your feet, and bring your mind to your feet, it actually calms you down and grounds you automatically.
Does that mean people have to be barefoot?
Nope. You can do it in shoes. You can do it even in stilettos if you want, on stage. Your mind to your balance. And if you forget what you were going to be saying, you can feel your feet, put your mind to your feet, and you'll usually remember or else get an inspired thought that's even better than what you planned.
Whoa, that's wonderful. Does anyone on the panel have a question for Cynthia? Sumaya?
Yes, Cynthia, I would love to hear how you morphed from being a statistician and a bank examiner to the amazing, deep, soul-centered coach that you are now, and global visibility expert.
Well, I think the roots really lie there, too, because much of what I do is helping people to connect their soul's work and their passion work with money. And I did work on top of billions, that's with a B, billions of dollars at the Federal Reserve. And so I have a very different perspective on money, and big money especially. And I also worked with small businesses. One of the things that I examined there was I would actually talk to community representatives asking how small businesses are doing in the area and what are the banks doing that to support small businesses and what could they do better, because I was a Consumer Reinvestment Act examiner, and that was one of the focuses. And so a lot of it came out of that. Plus I worked a lot with nonprofit organizations and how they could bring money from banks through the Community Reinvestment Act. And that's a lot of what I do now for my small businesses as well, because if they have a philanthropic arm, I help them to see how they can bring bank funds to that. So it really is very much an extension of it, and also that I was called from my heart. I actually received an ultimatum about that meditation. Basically heard my inner guidance or the voice of God saying, you need to leave the Federal Reserve or else you'll miss a window of opportunity that will be no longer available to you. And so I took the action to leave, and now I serve entrepreneurs to help them do their purpose work.
I'm so glad that you did that.
Iris, you have a question?
I do. Cynthia, so happy to celebrate your birthday. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday. And you have so many amazing programs. I know personally because I've benefited from them, and just amazing. What would you say would be something I could do that would be less than 5 minutes to help me uplift my spirits if I happen to feel, as an entrepreneur, let's say, overwhelmed or frustrated or having a little bit of a hard time? What would you suggest? Something that I could do that would shift or begin a shift upward?
Yes. Well, it's really connecting with your heart and soul. I think that's the key. And oftentimes that is through breath. I talked a little bit ago about feeling your feet. That helps to ground you. You can put your hand on your heart center, right in the center of your chest, and breathe in and out, and then focus on what you are passionate about and your why. Why am I doing this? You know, why am I here on this Google Hangout? Or why am I serving my people? And connect with that passion within you, because passion has power.
I love it. Passion has power.
That's power. Fabulous. Does anyone have any more questions for Cynthia or Shirlene? There may be something that came to you while Cynthia was speaking that you wanted to ask Shirlene? No? Well, I would like to thank both of our panelists for their wealth of information. You're just amazing women, and I look forward to working with you more in the future. Over to you, Shirlene.
Well, thank you, Mary. You did a wonderful job. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I just want to say to Cynthia, we didn't get to hear about your business. Could you tell us what it is that you do with your clients?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shirlene. I'm Cynthia Stott, and I'm a global visibility expert. And I support entrepreneurs to tap into the message from their heart and soul and create virtual programs and then share them on Facebook in ways Facebook can't hide your posts for national, local, national, and international reach.
Awesome, Cynthia. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I want to make sure that everybody understood what it is that you do and they know that you come from your heart, which is really awesome. So this was really fun tonight because I don't get to be interviewed very often, so I really enjoyed this, and I think Mary did a wonderful job, and I want to thank Mary again for the extra effort and stepping up to interview us both. And that's it for tonight. I want to thank you for joining us. I hope you learned a little bit about me, Shirlene Reeves, and Cynthia Stott. And until next week, when we return again with other guest experts participating in the Ultimate Summit 2016. Thanks for joining us tonight. See you next week.